Sorry for this gonzo setup, but I just came home from the movie a little while ago, and tonight of all nights, my building is having an electric shutdown, so I'm filming with my iPhone and a flashlight, so please bear with me. I wanted to get my review done tonight while the thoughts were still fresh, so here we go. So, The Black Panther is the latest film in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, and it takes place soon after the events of Captain America Civil War, where the king of Wakanda was murdered, and therefore his son T'Challa needs to take over the throne from his father. And as he is doing so, a newcomer comes in named Killmonger, who challenges him for the right to that throne, as well as the possession of all the vibranium that is in the possession of Wakanda. And vibranium is the most powerful, valuable metal on Earth. So when I was reading comic books a lot in the 70s, 80s, and 90s back in the day, I was a big Marvel fanboy, read all the Marvel titles. And back then, I always felt like the Black Panther was a pretty cool character, but not no one strong enough to stand on his own. He was part of the Avengers for a little while, and they would always take these little jaunts over to Wakanda and do a little Wakanda related storyline, and then always come back to the States and go back to the main storyline. So the Black Panther was kind of like a little side distraction, and that's kind of how I felt back then. So I was kind of a little surprised when they announced that the Black Panther would be getting his own film in this now cinematic universe. So I was like, hey, let's go check it out. And being a secondary character has resulted in the Black Panther film being a secondary Marvel tier film. That doesn't necessarily mean the film is bad. It's still good, it's entertaining, it's still fun. It's just not one of Marvel's best. You know, you got Iron Man, you got Guardians of the Galaxy, you got Civil War. Those are all considered by many to be the top tier Marvel films. The Black Panther, for me anyway, it won't be in that top level. It'll be in the second tier of Marvel films. And I'll go into why. You know, first of all, I loved the introduction of Wakanda, this fictional country in Africa. Off the bat, the movie teaches you about its history, about how it's developed its vibranium to have these medical advancements, technological geniuses working on weapons and stuff like that. And the country has just built itself up to be very wealthy and very powerful because of this vibranium. And yet they're keeping it to themselves because they don't want the rest of the world to know that they have it. And it's just really fascinating to learn the culture, the rules, the legacies, the history of this Wakanda country, and how they determine or how they select their kings and all that. It's very fascinating stuff. I loved it. And the side characters as well that they introduced are very fun, very effective. T'Challa's sister, who's like the Q from the Bond movies in Wakanda, she has all these fascinating gadgets and medical technologies at her fingertips, and she's super funny and cute on top of that. You got the Bolohead Chick Army, who is like the Secret Service army for Wakanda King, and they are loyal to the throne and will die for him no matter what. That was really cool. You got Angela Bassett playing T'Challa's mom, and where she's been, she's always very awesome in all of her performances. But the best one to me was by far Michael B. Jordan. Now, Michael B. Jordan has worked with the director Ryan Coogler on his previous two films, Fruitvale Station and Creed, two amazing films, two of my best favorite films. They're very good movies. So, but I was also surprised to learn that he would be playing Killmonger in the Black Panther because by this time I felt like Michael B. Jordan should be playing a lead character and not the second fiddle to another actor. So I was again surprised that he would take on this character, but now having seen the movie, I can totally see why. The character of Killmonger is very three-dimensional. He has a great history. You know about his motivations and why he's doing the things that he's doing. You actually understand why he's doing them as well. And he has a lot of depth, a lot of history to him. His performance is spot on, and Michael B. Jordan, I was gonna say he's a star in the making, but that dude is a star already. His performance as Killmonger is really, really good, as a great character introduction, so definitely one of the high points in the movie. As for T'Challa himself, the Black Panther, he's played by Chadwick Boseman. He was just a little too stoic for me throughout the movie. Never really had a chance to show off his charisma. And Chadwick Boseman has been really good in other movies, but as the Black Panther, doesn't really shine too much, to be honest. And in a universe that's filled with memorable and unique characters like Iron Man, Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Spider Man, Doctor Strange, Ant Man, even. If you're gonna exist in this world and stand out, you have to have some kind of a unique quality about you that allows you to do so. And the Black Panther just doesn't have that quality. So he kind of gets lost in the shuffle like he did in the comic books for me back in the 80s and 90s when I was reading the comic books. He doesn't really stand out, like I said. So not too memorable of a character, to be honest. Now, I said that I love all the scenes of Wakanda, and vice versa to that. Any of the scenes outside of Wakanda, I didn't really care for. There's a scene in London, and then there's an action scene in South Korea that didn't really work for me, to be honest. They felt extraneous once I realized what the plot was going to be about. They were focused on the character Claw, who is the bridge, let's say, from Captain America Civil War to the Black Panther movie, since he was introduced in that previous film. But ultimately, you didn't really need Claw's character. Michael B. Jordan as Killmonger could have been introduced without Claw being there. So those scenes felt extraneous, unnecessary, and just takes you out of the film. You really want to stay in Wakanda and with all these fascinating characters and interesting characters. And whenever the film takes you out of Wakanda, you just kind of get lost a little bit. And the first half of the movie does take a little bit long to get going. I was like, okay, I'm really interested in all of this stuff, but let's something happen now, you know. So there was that. The action scenes, nothing really spectacular, to be honest. They're fun to watch, and there's some really cool stuff in there. But as far as choreography goes, as far as CGI goes, pretty standard stuff for Marvel movies. Director Ryan Coogler does try to do a similar one long take thing as he did in Creed, in one of the action scenes in Korea, and that was really well done. But overall, the action choreography just was a little disappointing, especially after I know what he was able to do in Creed. So there was that. But overall, I was still entertained by the film. It is a bit long, but the Wakanda storyline and the introduction of that country and its people really was interesting to me, and that was the strongest point of the movie. And if they do continue to make films about the Black Panther, which I'm sure they will, they really need to make his character stand out a little more, I believe, and kind of focus on Wakanda because that was the most interesting part of the movie. So overall, for me, the Black Panther gets a 7 out of 10. Thanks so much for watching in this dark atmosphere. I appreciate it. And stay tuned to my YouTube channel, MC on Film, for more movie reviews in the future.